Hello and welcome to Pearls of Paradise. My name is Courtney and I'm coming to you from Parma, Ohio, where I live with my husband and all of our yarn. Today is Friday, April 28th, and I'm back! It's been almost a month, or about a month, since I last podcast, and I'm so happy to be back here with you. It's a dreary gray day here in Paradise, but we're happy and colorful because we have lots and lots to talk about. I do have some housekeeping things I want to chat about, but before we get to that, thank you so much for watching if you're a returning viewer, and thanks for checking me out if you're new here. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry and Pokemon Go. My friend code and my handles are all linked down below, as well as most everything I talk about in this episode hopefully will be. Okay, so let's get some housekeeping out of the way. I have 3 things in that department to talk about. First of all, I'm a little bit under the weather, I guess. I'm not sure if I have a tiny cold or allergy season is just hitting me a little harder right now. But if I sound a little bit nasally or hoarse, that's why. So I do have a trusty mug of ginger snappish tea that will hopefully help keep the coughing and hoarseness to a minimum. So that's housekeeping thing number 1. Housekeeping thing number 2, like I said, I'm back. I did not film a couple of weeks ago because my husband and I were away celebrating our 10th wedding anniversary. And in a couple of weeks, we will be away again, celebrating both of our birthdays. Our birthdays fall in the same week, so we usually celebrate those together. I may be recording in a couple of weeks. I may not be recording in a couple of weeks. I'm just not sure what it's going to look like at this point. So look at Instagram, look on here. I will try to post something one way or the other just to let you guys know if I'm not going to podcast, or the next podcast may just be a day or 2 behind. And then the third thing, we have so much to discuss. I have 4 finished objects. However, some of those are gifts. So if you are one of my sisters-in-law, I am going to ask you very kindly if you would turn this off and come back and watch on May 1st. I'm planning to give some gifts this weekend and just want to keep those a surprise. So again, if you're my sister-in-law, and I have many, just turn that off for right now, and join me in a few days. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into it. I'm just really happy to be back with you guys. It's so great. Let's start with this. So my camera turned the preview off. All right. So this is my first finished object, and I just finished it today. Like I said, I've been a little bit under the weather, so I was home from work yesterday just in case it was more than a cold or more than allergies. I didn't want to risk getting anyone else sick, and I didn't really feel very well. So I had barely gotten this headband started before. I had cast it on, and we'll talk about it in a second. I had knit, I don't know, 5 rows maybe. And I did almost all of this yesterday and finished it up this morning. So this is finished object number 1. I am leaning over to grab the book that it's out of. And I'm not giving a title of this because it's a little confusing. So the book that the pattern is from is Knitting Vintage by Claire Montgomerie. And I've talked about this book a few times. I knit one of her other patterns in here called the Emerald Turban. You can go back and check that out a few episodes ago. And now I have knit this one, which is the one I'm wearing. And in the book, it's called Multicolored Headband. Very original name. But online it's called, on Ravelry, the pattern is called like the Alice Multicolored Headband. I don't know where Alice came from. no idea. So it's one of those two, but you can definitely find the pattern in this book. So what do I have to say about this one? Oh, the yarn. I used a 50-gram skein of yarn that I had bought at the very beginning of the pandemic, of lockdown. I splurged on a lot of hand-dyed yarn at the time just because so many dyers were struggling, not being able to go to shows and things like that. So I did buy a lot of hand-dyed yarn during the year 2020. And this is one of the first skeins I ever bought. And I felt like it was time to use it. So as you can see, I have a good chunk left. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It's so beautiful and so soft. And this is, just pull the ball band out. I usually store my ball bands in the middle of the cakes so they don't get lost. And this is Malabrigo Finito, which is pure superfine merino wool. It's figuring weight in the color Camaleon, which I assume is like chameleon. I don't really know, but it's really pretty. And I love how we have these like striations in the pattern with that variegated yarn. So really loved working with this. I don't know if I have enough to do a second one of these or not. I'm almost tempted to see if I can knit like a smaller one for one of my nieces or something. That would be kind of fun. Or maybe throw it in some color work. I'm not sure, but it's really pretty and I really like it. So there's that. And then we'll talk, my camera turns a preview thing on, off, whatever, it won't let me see. So let's talk about the headband itself. I don't want to take it off because I spent time getting it in my hair, but there's I-cords on either side. And the pattern, which I really appreciate, has you make really long, can you see that? Kind of. Really long I-cords. So there's plenty of length there. I found sometimes with headbands and things that tie, there's not enough tie. And then it comes undone and comes loose. But this one has plenty of tie. And it has kind of a lovely seed stitch. And the pattern is really, really simple. I loved knitting it. It was the perfect sick day knit. I didn't have to think about it really at all. It was very intuitive and the colors are so pretty. And if you've been around, I love color. I love a good bright, a good bold, a good neon. So this I think will be something that gets a lot of wear, especially in summer. One of the things that I find challenging about being a knitter is most of my knitwear gets worn in cooler weather, but our summers are humid and have been getting hotter. So I'm trying to find more cotton knits or cooler knits or accessory knits that I can wear year round or specifically during the summer. And this one fits the bill. It's great. It'll keep my hair off my face and it looks really cute. I'm also getting a very like 2000s-y vibe from this. It is in the chapter, The Swingin' 60s. And if I had hair that poofed or curled, it would probably give more of a 60s vibe. But I could totally have seen like 12-year-old Courtney wearing one of these in like 2002, 2003. Definitely would have worn one of these then too. So anyways, I really love it. Again, it's either the Alice multicolored band or something, or the multicolored headband, either way by Claire Montgomerie. Okay, getting a sip of tea. And I do apologize if you are someone who is really bothered by someone drinking on camera. I try really hard not to do that, but the alternative is coughing and we don't want that either. So that's what we're doing. All right, so segueing in, speaking of summery knits and cotton and more transitional pieces. The second thing that I finished today, I was determined to get stuff finished before I podcast. I don't know why. I do know why. Probably so that next time I just don't have it. Anyway, I just wanted to finish it. So the ends have been woven in, but I haven't snipped them because I have not washed and blocked this. But this, so it looks kind of meh because there's ends hanging off and it hasn't been blocked, but that's okay. Also, this is not Fire Engine Red. This is my Magnolia Lane cardigan. And again, please just ignore those ends for now. And this is by Crafts Everywhere. And I promise you, it is not this red. It is, the colorway is called Terracotta, and I would say it's a bright terracotta, but it is not this red. It's like a nice kind of tomatoey red, but it's not this bright. I'll put this on. Again, hasn't been washed or blocked yet. And this is 100% Pima cotton. It is We Are Knitters, the cotton. And there we go. Let me see. I don't know if I can stand up to kind of show you. So the seaming is a little wonky, but I think it's fine. This is where I was when I podcast last. So I hadn't gotten very far, but there's the back. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I have a lot to say about this pattern. So firstly, the knitting of it. I had so much fun knitting this cardigan. It was a really fun knit. The panel, you knit the back panel first and then the front panels separately. So much fun. An easy repeat to memorize. The front panels I knit in the car for the most part on our way to and from our anniversary getaway. So it was a car-friendly knit, a good on-the-go knit. Just, it was really great. I got to learn a couple of new techniques. I haven't done two that I can recall. A one color flat Latvian braid. I've done them in the round and I've done them with two colors. So the technique was a little bit different, so it was nice to learn that. And I also learned the suspended bind off, which I loved doing. And I'm definitely going to be using that bind off on more projects. So those are the things about this pattern I love. And I also really love like the stitches. I think they're really, really pretty. That's what I loved about it. The things I did not love. How do I phrase this? Actually, I'll just say it. I don't think I like seaming with cotton. It was really tricky with the way the drop stitch portions are, which, yeah. So I don't know, you can see how open that is there. It was really hard to seam that. And then at the end, you go back around everywhere and pick up and knit a border, which on the bottom looks beautiful. Like, look at that. That's so nice. On the sides, it did not come out nearly as nice. And actually, y'all, it was way worse. Way worse. When I finished, what I ended up doing is on both sides of the front panels, so like on the edges here, I ended up taking another strand of yarn and kind of running it up back behind. I had giant holes where the drop stitches were. I don't know if I've just found the border instructions really confusing. No one else, I looked at the project pages of other people, no one else seemed to have that problem, so maybe that was just a me issue, but I found them to be a little bit confusing. Actually, no, there was one other person who I guess had done a border and then ripped it out because they had put it on backwards or something. And I will say I had a lot of trouble figuring out how they wanted the border put on. Yeah, so I ended up running another strand of yarn back behind to close up some of those holes and gaps, and I do think it looks better. But I'm still not totally satisfied with the border. I don't know how much it'll really matter in the general wear of the cardigan on a regular basis. I don't know if with it being kind of an open front thing, if it'll matter. And I don't know if when it blocks, when it dries, if some of those issues will resolve themselves. I'm not sure. One thing I do know is cotton is just not as forgiving as wool, and that's why I think I tend not to knit with it as much. So I'm just not sure. We'll see once it blocks. It may block and it's like, oh, the stitches have kind of settled and it's okay. Or maybe not. I was really, really, really excited about this. Like so excited up until I did that border. Because the seams are on the side. I'm not as worried about them. And I do think in blocking, those seams will settle down a little bit. So we'll see. I'm also not loving this on camera, to be honest. Not because the stitches, but because the color is showing up so very red and washing me out quite a lot. It does not look this way in real life. Like I said, it's just a very dark terracotta color. So anyways, that is the Magnolia Lane cardigan by Crafts Everywhere. I would recommend this pattern, even though I wasn't crazy about the border. I think I would either just, if I knit another one, I would either just like not do a border at all and leave it alone. Or I don't know, I might add some stitches on the edges for like a garter border, or I don't know, maybe pick up for an I-cord border. But those, like I said, those drop stitches were really, really, really hard to pick up. But maybe if you, I don't know, if you did a couple of selvage stitches on the edges, you could pick up for an I-cord border, or just pick up for the border that they suggest. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But overall, I think I'm happy with it. I think I'll know more how I feel once it blocks out. But it is super comfortable. I think it'll be great over a tank top with maybe some like white capris or something. It does lend itself to very beachy vibes. It actually is making me a little bit warm, which I didn't expect from the cotton. And you do hold 2 strands of the cotton together as well. So the yarn is normally a DK weight, but you hold 2 strands together, which I think gives you bulky weight, maybe. So it knit up super fast. US size 13 needles, and then in a couple spots, US size 11 and 15. So it was just a really fun, really fast knit. So I would recommend it. The other thing that you could do is modify it to be seamless. I don't have the brain space to do that. I don't want to do that much math and thinking. That was not the point of this project for me, but if you don't want to seam, you could always do that too. So anyways, that's my Magnolia Lane cardigan by Crafts Everywhere, and I will probably wear this again once it's actually blocked. I'm going to take it off now though, because I'm finding the red to be a little bit distracting. It's not even red, it's just red on your end. Okay, so there is that. Okay. This is your last warning if you're my sister-in-law to stop watching this video. Okay. All right, so my other two finished objects. We'll do this one first. So this one wasn't cast on, was not even really a thought when I last saw you guys, but I made a beanie. So my husband has a twin sister. They actually have different birthdays. They're off by a day. So her birthday is the same week that we'll be gone, but she will be at the baby shower this weekend for my other sister-in-law's, well, having a baby, which is what baby showers are typically for. So she'll be there, and I'm planning to give her this, which is her birthday gift, this weekend at the shower. So this is the Copycat CC Beanie by Ingrid, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I don't know if you can tell so much because of the variegation in the yarn, but it's basically a copycat pattern of a very popular, trendy beanie style that, at least where I live here in the Midwest, a lot of people wear, but they're usually in really neutral or subdued colors. And we don't do neutral or subdued around here very often. So here is my version. It's got a nice fold over brim, so nice and cozy, and just like lovely rows of purling and garter stitch and ribbing, and it's just so nice. And even if I pull it inside out, it actually, I wove the ends in so that you can't see them at all. You could totally wear it the other way too. So it's, the way that I knit it really is reversible. So that's kind of cool. So the yarn is, here's what I have left. And this is by Laughing Cat Fibers, which you've heard me talk about her yarn quite a bit lately. I've been knitting with a lot of that. And this is on her 100% Superwash Merino wool, Superwash worsted base, and it's in the colorway Butterfly Nebula. I don't know if this is a colorway she still has. I bought it, I think last year, sometime last year, either for my sister-in-law's birthday or Christmas present. I can't remember which now. And then I ended up making her something else. So I had looked, I know at the time I had looked for a hat pattern for this yarn, couldn't find one that I was crazy about, and then just ended up going in a totally different direction anyway. So I still had the yarn, and I don't know about you guys, maybe it's just me, but this year has been flying past, absolutely flying by. I don't know where the year is going. It's just gone. I don't know where the whole first third of the year went. We're a third, actually, like in 2 days, we're going to be a third of the way through the year. What? I don't know how that happened, but apparently it did. And I realized, like, I'd had this yarn sitting there and I knew I was going to make her something for her birthday out of it. And I just thought I had so much more time. And then, you know, I was planning our birthday trip and our birthdays, and I was like, oh my goodness. It's already like, we're that close. So I was like, okay, have to find the right pattern, have to get it knit up. So I do really, really love how this came out. It was a very quick knit, a very fun knit, and I love all of the colors in this. You can tell if I had knit this in just stockinette, it would have totally striped. Laura, the dyer behind Laughing Cat, she I don't know how she does it. She's amazing. Her yarn, like, kind of self-stripes, swirls. It just does the most amazing things. So if you've never bought her yarn, I would recommend checking her out, Laughing Cat Fibers. She has some really cool art-inspired colorways. And she used to be an Ohio dyer. Since I'm from Ohio, I live in Ohio, I try to support a lot of local Ohio dyers. She used to be an Ohio dyer. She's now a Kentucky dyer, but she's still amazing. So check her out. All right, so that's finished object number 3. And finished object number 4. I am so absolutely delighted with this. Like, delighted with this one. And I am so excited to show you all my finished baby sweater. This is the I Heart Rainbows sweater by Tin Can Knits. And I knit this in a bunch of different yarn. So let's just look at this for a second. Like, can we even handle this right now? Look at the cuteness. Like, look at this yoke. Is this not the cutest thing you have ever seen? Honestly, I was kind of hoping when I blocked it that it would magically grow to my size. I would totally, if they made this an adult pattern, maybe in DK or something, I would absolutely knit it and I would wear it all the time. So the yarn I used gray in, I believe, Superwash sock from Cornbread and Honey for the body for most of it. And all of the dyers are Ohio dyers, in case you're interested. All of the rainbow, except for the violet, was a mini skein set from DYE Mad Yarns. They were at Wool Gathering, and I bought it from them because I knew I wanted to knit the sweater for my next nibbling. And it had no details. I just knew it was finger weight. So I don't know anything more about this. I don't know why there were rainbow mini skein kits. I don't know, but I saw it. I picked it up. It was perfect. And then the violet is from Created For You by Laura in her Spring Violet colorway. I just had bought a mini of that at Wild and Woolly. And I also got the gray from Wild and Woolly as well, which is a local yarn show that's every February here in my neck of the woods for this sweater. And then the buttons, I just got at Joann Fabrics. I had actually not intended to use these buttons at all. I bought them in case I couldn't find anything better. And time got away from me and I never found anything better because I never looked. But after putting these on, I think they're perfect. So this is the size 6 to 12 months. I do think it's way closer to the 12 months than the 6 months, which I'm slightly disappointed with. I did not swatch though, so it might be a me problem, not a pattern problem. But a little bit disappointed in how big it is, simply because I had kind of hoped that it would just be a little bit big on her, this like in late fall, and that it would fit her all the way through spring. And baby is due in June. So I don't think that's going to happen. But that's okay. Even if she wears it one time, I'll be thrilled. I had such a fun time knitting this. I did words are hard today. I did modify the pattern slightly. It does not have this rainbow here. I just added it, and I'm so glad I did. I feel like it just, I don't know. I feel like it just makes the whole thing. I had initially done that to conserve the gray yarn, hoping there'd be enough to make the matching I Heart Rainbows hat. There is definitely not enough left. So that's okay. I have a ton of the rainbow minis left. I might do something else with those. I'm sure I will at some point. Or I may just break them up for heels, toes, and cuffs for socks or something. But probably not, because they're a perfect rainbow set. I just want to keep talking about this sweater. I love it so much. Oh, you know what? I can ask. I don't think I ever got a chance to reply to the comments on my last video. It's been an unbelievably busy month. But someone had asked me to talk about baby knits and the kinds of yarn I use and things like that. So this is pretty much Superwash Merino. There might be some nylon in here. So the reason that I chose Superwash Merino for this sweater is I know that this particular mom is trying to keep baby away from plastic. No judgment here about what you dress your baby in. As long as your baby has clothes on that are comfortable, you're doing great. But this particular mom I know doesn't want baby in a lot of plastic or poly-based kind of fibers, wants more natural things. So that's part of why I chose this. Superwash Merino is treated so that it doesn't felt and can go in the washer and dryer. I personally, for my personal Superwash Merino knits, I do not put them in the washer, and I certainly do not put them in the dryer. If you do with yours, that is awesome. I'm too scared. So I don't. So for this one, I will recommend to mom that recommended is hand wash and lay flat to dry, but she could throw it in the washer if she wants. I would still recommend, if possible, laying that flat to dry. Also, just it's just going to also preserve the life of the garment too. That being said, I have made tons of baby things in acrylic. I find that for most people, that's what they would prefer, just because you can throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer. There's typically very few special care kinds of instructions with acrylic or acrylic wool blends. And for new moms, a lot of times that's what they prefer, is something that they can wash and dry in the dryer. And if you look at a lot of the clothing that we buy from the store, a lot of it does have synthetic fibers in it. So, you know, for most people, if you're buying store-bought clothing, unless it's 100% cotton, 100% wool, or 100% linen, it's probably going to have some synthetic fibers in it anyhow. So for most people, I do, especially if I don't know them very well, I do choose acrylic for baby knits or cotton, simply because of ease of care. I don't want the gift that I'm giving to actually be a burden on anyone. Then it's not really a gift. So now when I knit back in the fall, another sister-in-law, her baby, and she is the sister of this sister-in-law. I have too many. I have so many. Her daughter, a sweater, I also did a Superwash Merino 100% Superwash Merino sweater for the same reason. And because I have knit her kids many, many things, and she, I know, will really take care of the things that I knit for her kids. So that's kind of it too, is like, some people just don't want the responsibility. Some people don't mind. I think it depends on how well you know the person. When in doubt, if you choose like something cotton, you can't really go wrong, simply because it is natural fiber and it's pretty easy to care for and pretty accessible. So being said, is it going to keep baby super warm? No, probably not great for outerwear for that reason, especially if you live somewhere like I do, where winters tend to be cooler and snowy and rainy, because cotton is going to absorb that water and then freeze. So that's not great for that either. So all that said, I think when choosing a yarn for a baby project, the things to keep in mind are, how well do you know the person? You know, and what they're going for. Two, is care. Is that an important factor or not? You know, and three, does the yarn that you're choosing fit the project? And I think that's important to remember always. I will say, this is the first time I've done hand-dyed yarn for a baby project. I think everything else I've done for baby has always been commercial. So as far as the cost of doing a sweater like this in hand-dyed yarn, that's kind of another whole issue. Yeah. And that's something to think about too. If this was for an acquaintance or someone I didn't know very well, I probably would have gone with a commercially dyed yarn. I mainly ended up with hand dyed because it just kind of came together that way. I wasn't seeking to do a hand dyed sweater initially, but once I saw that mini skein set and it was so perfect, that's just the way it ended up for me. Would I knit a hand-dyed baby sweater again? Maybe, because it did keep me very engaged. But again, I think that would depend on who it was for, whose baby it was for. So anyways, those are my thoughts on choosing yarn for a baby sweater or baby project in general. Whew. Okay, that ended up, I had more to say about that than I thought I did. So back to the pattern here. Like I said, I don't know, top down, it's a yoked sweater, as you can pretty clearly see. The buttons are working buttons, so I'll kind of take the placket apart to show you. I loved the construction of this. This little sweater was, like, so that you can get it over baby's head, was so much fun to knit. It was just an absolute joy. Every single stitch of this sweater was just a joy. And they have a really wide range of sizes. I think the largest is 3 to 4 years. I want to say they have a preemie size. So if you have a little person in your life, a little human, this is such a great pattern. Also, let's talk about my floats. I'm so proud of them. They were so good. So we'll turn it inside out to look at the floats. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I am absolutely in love with this sweater. I could talk about this sweater all day. If you know me personally and you've interacted with me much in the last 6 weeks or so, you know I can't stop talking about this sweater and I'm obsessed with it. I don't think that the designers behind Tin Can Knits watch this. I would be shocked if they did. But by some chance, if you are watching this, can you please, 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 please grade this for adult sizes? We don't even need the button placket. Just a yoked sweater, please. I love this so much and I want it. for myself to wear like every day of my life. It's so cute and I just love it. Okay, I will not make you all listen to me go on about the sweater any longer, but if I've inspired you to knit this, it is the I Heart Rainbow sweater by Tin Can Knits. Just go knit it and donate it. Knit it and honestly hang it on your wall and just look at it. It's just joy in a sweater. Joy right here. Pure joy. Okay, now we're done. We're really done with that. We're 40 minutes in. I told you all we have so much to talk about. Okay, moving on to works in progress. I didn't think my voice would hold out this long, but it really has. We're doing okay. Oh, we're gonna move. Yeah, well, actually, no, we'll go with this one. Okay, so not counting any blankets, this is my longest on the needles work in progress, which is why it's still in a Christmas bag, because I cast this on as my winter solstice cast on December of 2021, and we're still not done with it, but we have a half object, and I even blocked it, woven ends and everything. So these are the Marvellous Mini Mitts by Mina, Phillip. And this one is done. So I'll show it to you guys like this, and then I'll put it on so that you can see. Need to get it on straighter. There we go. So the yarn was part of a kit from Lady Dye Yarns, and the pink is called No Roses, and the black is Apostrophes. It was a Schitt's Creek inspired kit, and it came with the pattern. So obviously this has been on my needles for almost a year and a half, which for me is a very long time. So let's talk about that. First off, I really need to get these done because I really need a good pair of fingerless gloves. I have a pair that I knit very early on in my knitting life, and they just start getting kind of ratty. They were very beginner. They didn't have a nice thumb gusset. They also are not stretchy at the top. And if you're new here, I do a lot of Pokemon Go. I'm very into it. And I realized all fall and early spring, and even sometimes in the, well, most of the winter when it was freezing and we'd go out to play Pokemon Go, I just needed something that was going to be warmer on my hands because I have to have my fingers free, you know, to play on my phone. So I really need to get these done. It has taken me so long because I think this is like 2-color half fisherman's rib or something. It is not brioche, I know that. And this is all like crazy cabling. It's not crazy. It's not even that hard. But it is something I have to sit down and pay attention to. And it's fingering, and it's on like size 1 needles, and it's just kind of a lot. It's not a bad pattern at all by any means. It just takes concentration and sitting down that I haven't really had the brain space for lately. I realized I have right now, I think 4 cable patterns on my needles, and none of them are regularly getting a lot of progress made. And I've been trying to figure out why that is. I used to do cabled things fairly often and loved it. And I realized about the time that my cabling projects started kind of sitting and it taking longer and longer for me to finish those cabled projects was also about the time that I went from being part-time at my day job to full-time. So I think I just don't have the mental space when I get home from work anymore to sit down and do those complicated patterns, but I also like them because they do challenge my brain. So I have made a little commitment to myself that I am going to finish everything that was on my needles before, not blankets. Blankets do not count. Blankets are not whips. They're blankets. It's a whole other thing. Everything else that was on my needles prior to this year, I'm going to finish it by the end of the year or it's getting frogged. I just really, I'm not carrying a bunch of stuff over, which I don't have that many left. So this is, like I said, my oldest one. I'm really hoping to maybe get this done by June. Ideally, I would like that. A couple things just in my day-to-day have changed a little bit. So I should have a couple of times most weeks where I'll have uninterrupted chunks of time where I can sit down and focus. So this is the first project I'm going to be particularly focusing on during those times. So anyways, I did finish the one, and hang on, let me detangle this a bit. And I got started on, come on, get off there. There we go. And I started the second one. So I got through the first cable repeat. I'm ready to do the next one up here. And let me just say, the second one is coming along so much better than the first. The first one is riddled with mistakes. Some of them were my fault. Some of them a stranger, like a few months ago, I don't know, 6 months ago. I think I talked about it when it happened, like came up and kind of grabbed my project out of my hands and stitches went off the needles and anyways, those were not my mistakes though. Those were that lady's mistakes. She made them for me. But it's fine. Really, now that it's done, you really can't even tell so much and it's fine. And I am going to turn this inside out for you all because I also think the other side looks cool. I wouldn't wear it like this. I really like the right side. But I mean, you probably could wear it like this if you wanted to. And reverse it. And I think it's cool because it just showcases the yarn in a different way. So I'm not going to try to shove that over my Fitbit. But that's kind of cool too. So anyways, those are the Marvellous Midi Mitts by Mina Phillip. And hopefully the other one will be a finished object soon. And then I can put them away until fall and they'll be great. Okay, this is going to be a long one. It just, you know what? It just is what it is. We'll go with this one next. You guys have seen my pumpkin coffee bag a lot from Twisted Yarn and Fiber. Yeah, you all, if you've been watching, you already know what's in here. It is my Vertices Unite shawl by Stephen West. I don't really know how to hold this up, so we're just going to attempt. And there we go. So, there we go. Okay, I am knitting the large size, and I'm not even halfway through it. So this is section 1. And all of the colors I'm using are now in the shawl, so it's exciting. So the pinky, purpley, orangey color is Tale as Old as Time. Oh, all these are Fangirl fibers, by the way, all from her 2022 Disney Yarn of the Month Club. And I just adore it. So Tale as Old as Time, which is inspired by Disney. The white, which you can't see very well here, but it also has some like blips of color running through it, is called Glitch and is inspired by Wreck-It Ralph. Section 2, which is where we left off, was right here with our little gnome. Turn that around. The bluish teal is, I want to say it's Under the Sea. That sounds right. It is Little Mermaid inspired, and I'm pretty sure it's Under the Sea. And then the pinky purple running through that with like kind of the gold undertones is Best Day Ever and is Tangled inspired. And this section is another color. Section 3. Which is very exciting. And I don't know the name of it. And honestly, I don't know if I'm even going to pronounce the movie right because I have actually not seen it. We do have Disney Plus. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. Maybe that will be movie night tonight because I need to watch this. Okay, so the colorway is, I'm going to probably mispronounce it, Sisu, and it's inspired by that, and it's based on, I think it's Raya, but it could be Raya, I don't know, The Last Dragon, I think. It's one I just haven't watched it. I think I need to watch it, like maybe tonight. Because I don't like not being able to pronounce these. Anyways, it's really pretty. It is only in this section. So once I'm done with this section, I will be done with that yarn. All 5 colors I'm using are now in the shawl, which makes me very happy and very excited. The rest of the sections will just be different combinations or standalones of colors I've already used. So this one, I now understand why people enjoy knitting this, because once I got past section 1 that was so long and so boring, the rest of this has gone a lot faster, been more exciting, and I feel like I've gotten into the groove with this shawl where it's kind of a mindless knit. I will say though, I feel like other people are able to whip theirs out so much faster than I am, and I'm not sure why. Probably because I'm also knitting 8 million other things at the same time, let's be real. That's probably why. So I had wanted to have this shawl done before we went on our vacation here in a week or so, but it's not going to be done at that point, and I think I'm fine with it. It will be a great thing to knit on there, and on the car ride there and back, so it's fine. It's really okay. Anyways, all of that yarn was by Fangirl Fibers. For To Seize Unite by Stephen West. I've talked about it a lot. If you watch a lot of knitting podcasts, you, I know, have seen this shawl, so we'll move on. So my last whip I'm going to talk about is a Whip and Woe. And this is the Mammotus shawl by Gabrielle Matthews that I am knitting for my husband. And before I even get into the woe, this is not the pattern's fault. This is 100% a me issue. I test knit this pattern for Gabby a couple of years ago, or last year, and I did not have these issues with it. So I know it's not the pattern. I know it's me. But my stitch count is way off. And I can't figure out why. I have a feeling I just didn't pay attention at some point or forgot to increase or something. So I'm sort of debating on whether I could add in one more repeat, and I need to double check that I really did all the repeats I was supposed to, because I'm almost wondering if I shortchanged myself a repeat, even though I've counted it a bunch of times on this section. Maybe I need to just add a repeat and then my stitch count will be correct and move on. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we last left off where the little mushroom is, and we've gotten so much done. And then I got so frustrated with my stitch count, and I had hoped to have this done for my husband for our anniversary a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, that did not happen. But he knew I was getting really frustrated and said it was fine if I put this down. So this may go with me on vacation as well. I mean, I need to finish one of these things for him, right? Eventually. And I'm just ready to have new stuff on my needles. This week, I've been so tempted to just cast on all the things. It's been really hard to tell myself no, which I kind of have mixed feelings about. I think if you want to cast things on, you should cast them on. And if you want to not cast things on, you should not cast things on. And if you're like me, you want both things. And in that case, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm just tired of what's on my needles right now. For the most part, I'm ready to be done with some things, and some of the things I just really want. So this is one of those things I'm kind of done with. I don't tend to love knitting with solid colors. I don't tend to love knitting with muted colors, though this blue is not that muted. And I like this pattern. I'm just ready to be done. So anyways, that is the Mammoth Shawl by Gabrielle Matthews. It is really a great pattern. Oh, and the yarn. Should probably talk about what the yarn is. Although, if you've been around, you've heard a million times what it is. This is the third color that'll go in after the gray. It is West Yorkshire Spinners, Blueface Leicester DK, I believe. Fleece? Something. And then this is the colorway, I want to say Forest, maybe? I have no idea. So we might as well look at the ball band. Can you all tell I'm really out of practice? I am so out of practice. It's amazing what taking one podcast off will do. Yes, so West Yorkshire Spinners Fleece, 100% British wool, Blueface Leicester, DK. There we go. This one, yes, it is Forest. Okay, you know what? That's good enough. The gray is Fossil and the blue is Ravine. So that's the yarn. Okay, we'll put that away. And that is in a bag made by my friend Amy. Hi, Amy. And she used to make project bags and sell them. She doesn't anymore, but she gave me this one. Okay, so that isn't even too big of a woe now that I think about it. I will figure it out. It's felt insurmountable lately, but it is in fact fixable. So let's talk about, what are we going to talk about? We'll go to acquisitions. I don't have anything. I did end up, well, I had said in my last podcast, I believe, that I had ordered yarn for the Nifeli by Isabel Kramer, and I did get that, but you guys have seen that yarn since I used it in that one cowl I made, and I had talked about it then, so I wasn't going to bring that down today. And I did sign up for Fangirl Fibers. This year she's doing quarterly clubs. So each quarter, like there's a club that's just for that quarter of the year. And I signed up for the next one, which is Barbie themed. I am very excited. So it's 3 months. You get a skein each month. There was a fingering option or a DK. I chose the DK because I don't have a lot of that in my stash. And I am very excited. It's supposed to be like neons, and I love neons. So very excited about that. That should be, I think it starts in May. I don't know. I didn't even pay attention to that. I just saw it and was like, yeah, I have to do this one. I can't resist. I cannot resist. I've resisted the clubs, and she opened clubs up again for, you know, where you could join. And I was like, no, I'm trying to save money. No. And then I saw the Barbie one and was like, take my money. Take it. Give me all the neons. Just take my money. So I just signed up. I didn't pay attention to when they're coming. So anyways, those will be really fun to get and share with you. We'll go to future plans, or however I normally phrase that. Future knitting. I don't even know. I am so out of practice. This is insane. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I do know. I'm just out of practice. So I have chosen my birthday cast on. And it is the Confetti Crop by Knititude. And I am not a big crop top person, so this seems like an odd choice. But I have a plan. So I have these like high-waisted cotton, I think they're all cotton, but they might have some linen. I don't know. I don't remember. Like below the knee length skirts that have a tie and big pockets. I call them my farm lady skirts. I love them. I love wearing them in the spring and summer, but I need more tops to go with them so that I can wear them all the time. I didn't talk about sewing. I decided not to get into that so much this podcast. I am attempting to learn to sew. I did have some Instagram updates about it a couple weeks ago, and it's all still in progress. But once I learn to sew, I want to be able to make my own skirts like this so that I can have a whole bunch. So the yarn I'm going to knit the sweater in, or the top, whatever, the crop top, is I specifically chose for that pattern so that it'll go with these skirts. And it's this yarn, which, I don't know if you can see, there's some like blues and yellows, and like the base is kind of a cream, like a warm cream with a black speckle on it. And this is by Hannah Made It, who I don't think she dyes anymore. I've talked about this many times. She is very local to me, and I bought a lot of her yarn for the first couple of years I was buying hand-dyed yarn. But I have not seen her post anything at all on any platform in well over a year. So I'm thinking I hope she's okay. But I'm thinking she doesn't die anymore. So anyways, I've been saving a lot of her yarn, and I'm now trying to use it up and move it out of my stash just to make room for new things. So this is her Halo fingering base, 90% superwash merino, 10% linen. It is a single ply, and I had specifically bought this yarn with this pattern in mind, I think. I know that I've had this pattern and yarn married in my head for a very long time. But then I read somewhere that single ply wasn't very good for garments. So I kind of held off and thought about it and thought about it. And then I decided I didn't care, and I caked the yarn up, and then I did nothing with it for a very long time. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do this anyway. I've seen, since I read that, I've seen patterns by trusted designers that use a single ply for a garment. So I don't know if this was this person or wherever I read this, their preference, or if this is a real thing, or if it's because of pilling or something, which pilling doesn't really bother me that much. I think it's just a sign that a sweater's been worn and loved, and I think that's awesome. So anyways, oh, and the colorways feline. I don't think I mentioned that. So anyways, I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't turn out amazing, that's okay. I'm sure it will turn out amazing. And the linen will hopefully keep it a little, like, I know it's only 10%, but make it a little bit of a cooler knit, just because these are skirts I mainly wear in the summer. But it might be a nice transitional top too. Sometimes, like this week, I have not known what to wear to work at all, because it's like starting when I leave my house in the morning, it's freezing temperatures. And then by the time I get to work, it's in like the mid 40s. And then at some point during the day, it's usually close to 60. And none of that has any bearing on what the temperature in my building will be. So this might be a nice work top as well. So anyways, that's my birthday cast on. So I will be casting that on, not this coming week, but the following week, and taking it with me on vacation. So that'll be good. I have a couple of other things I would really like to knit. A few shawls. I just want to knit sweaters. I have a friend that's having a baby in August, and I want to get some things knit for her baby. And I have a lot of plans. I have not really like taken action steps towards any of those yet. I have yarn, I have the pattern, like I have all that. I just haven't cast anything on. I really feel like some of these older whips need my attention before I can cast things on. But we did just establish I have finished 4 objects since I last saw you. So maybe it is time for me to cast on something new. I mean, we finished 2 sweaters, a headband, a hat. So another new cast on might be in the works here soon. All right, let's move into life update, and then I will let y'all go. Yeah, it's been a busy month. I kicked off the month by working the first 7 days in a row. So, which was a lot. And then that weekend, I don't even know what we did. I don't know. I don't remember. Couldn't tell you. Then the following weekend, oh, that was Easter weekend. Yeah, so we just met up with my parents and my brothers the Saturday to celebrate Easter. And try to get back on track for the month of April. Then the following weekend, we went away for our anniversary. We went to Burr Oak State Park, which is in Gloucester, Ohio, kind of east of Columbus. It's about 3 hours, almost exactly on the nose, 3 hours from me. We stopped on our way down at Jesse Owens State Park and saw the big musky bucket. You can look that up if you'd like. It's basically a giant, like scooper that was on a giant machine at these mines. Like my husband and I took pictures of each other standing in this thing. It is huge. Like the bucket is probably, it's bigger than my living room, way bigger than my living room. It's huge. So we saw that. To get to the state park, we drove on the Ohio Scenic Byway, and the redbuds were blooming, and there were trilliums and dogwoods flowering, and it was just so pretty. Just so gorgeous. We had a great time at the state park. They had a nice disc golf course. My husband's quite a bit more into disc golf than I am, but he's really taken an interest over the past year. So I'm trying to take more of an interest myself, and we played disc golf quite a bit. They had a pool there, so we swam in the pool. We had a campfire down by the lake one evening. We did bird watching, which we love doing. We went to a third state park on the Saturday afternoon, which was Stroud's Run, something like that. I don't remember. And went on a guided wildflower hike and learned some wildflower identification, and that was really beautiful and really fun. What else did we do? I mean, it was just really a lovely, beautiful, wonderful weekend getaway. So really, really enjoyed that and spending that time together. And yeah, the rest of this month has just kind of flown by. This weekend I'll be working, and tomorrow is Pokemon Go Community Day, which I'll be doing during my lunch break. I think Swinub is the featured Pokemon this weekend. And then Sunday, I have my sister-in-law's baby shower, and then it's back to work for another work week. So lots of big things happening over here. And I think that's about all I have for you today. So with that in mind, I hope that you can find some time to knit or craft in your little corner of paradise, and I'll be here knitting away in my little corner of paradise. I'll see you next time, friends.